So welcome back, guys. We are going to start the new topic called circular motion, and I'm basically more excited about this topic. This topic is really fun in a lot of ways, but today it won't be. I mean, in the beginning of the topic is all just the basics, that covering the basics of the topic and all the what do you say, the mathematics side of it. Okay, so it won't be that much of fun today. I wouldn't say that, but as we move into the topic, not just this topic, the rest of all the topics that we have next to us, all the topics are really fun. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really excited to it. Okay, so let me talk about this thing, the idea of circular motion. The very basic idea of circular motion is supposed to be discussed, but before that I need to discuss this thing. Do you remember this thing? Do you remember this idea? When an object is moving with a velocity v, when an object is moving with a velocity v, it can have different types of accelerations, right? The acceleration doesn't really have to be in this direction. The acceleration can be like this, the acceleration can be like this, it can be like this, it can be like this, it could be in any direction. We've clearly talked about it. The velocity, the acceleration, they don't really have to be in the same direction at all. But the important point is, if you have the velocity like this and the acceleration like this, I clearly mentioned this point, but if I haven't personally done that to you people, you need to understand the point that a component of acceleration in the direction of velocity, a component of acceleration perpendicular to the direction of velocity. These two ideas, they are really important that we should discuss. Okay, the thing is, this component, the a cos theta component, which is in the direction of velocity, it will change the speed. This will change the speed. This right here, that a sine theta, which is a perpendicular acceleration, it is always perpendicular to the velocity, right? This will help you change the direction of the velocity. You must remember this thing from the topic of kinematics. If I haven't discussed that, then I should have discussed, but I'm discussing it right now anyway. The component of acceleration, which is in the direction of velocity, are opposite, even in this direction also. Like acceleration could be in the opposite direction also. This would affect the speed. This would affect the speed of the body. But the acceleration which is perpendicular, to the body would always affect the direction only. Let's just take an example, okay? A body is moving at some 100 kilometers per hour, and somebody pushed it in this direction. You will keep the same speed, but you will change the direction. That is the important idea here. Okay, this acceleration in this direction would cause a change in the direction of the velocity, but not the magnitude. If you want to change the magnitude, there needs to be some acceleration in the direction or an opposite direction of the velocity. That is a very important point that you should remember. All right, now let me continue this. Let us take an example. The same example, 100 kilometers per hour. A man is trying to go with a speed of 100 kilometers per hour on a bike, and some wind is blowing in this direction. So there is some force in this direction. So because of this force, there is some acceleration in this direction. So because of this acceleration, there will be a change in his direction. He will be drifted towards the direction, that is for sure. But this is not a circular motion. This is not a circular motion because you will simply drift away and just go in a parabolic path. That's the best case. You'll simply go in a parabolic path. But in circular motion, things are a bit difficult. The things are a bit different compared to the previous situation. In circular motion, when you have a body traveling like this, the acceleration is definitely like this. There is some acceleration which is perpendicular to the velocity. That's a good thing. But when the body turns like this, in the previous situation, when the body has turned like this, the acceleration was still like this. When the body has turned like this, the acceleration was still in this direction. But in circular motion, the most important point is the minute the velocity changes its direction, the acceleration changes its direction. The velocity changes its direction like this, the acceleration changes its direction. This is a very, very important. This is a cornerstone of this topic, guys. Remember, the acceleration, which is acting perpendicular to the velocity all the time. And it is always pointed towards a specific point, which is the center of the circular motion. Okay, this is a cornerstone. Remember, like every time I talk about a topic and I mention something which is really important, it might sound like a silly thing. It might sound like a normal thing to you at the beginning, But remember, even if in the topics that we discussed in the beginning, in the previous topics also, I mentioned a point that is a cornerstone, and on that cornerstone, the whole topic actually stands. In circular motion, this is a point. There is an acceleration which is acting towards a specific point in all the situations. When the velocity is changing, the acceleration is changing. When the velocity is changing, the acceleration is changing all the time. So this is a cornerstone for this topic. In circular motion, this is what happens. So this acceleration, there is some acceleration which is acting towards the center, is called as a centripetal acceleration. You might have heard this in your school already, but the importance of this thing is a whole different story. Okay, we will talk about that. So this is what happens in circular motion. In a circular motion, you take any kind of a circular motion, you take a body tied to a string going in a circular motion, whirling in a circular motion, let us just say. Clearly the tension is acting in every situation, no matter where you're considering. The tension is always acting towards the center. So there is always an acceleration towards the center. And this is the reason, this is the original reason why the body is going in the circular motion in the first place. Okay, that's why we're not neglecting it. This is a very important idea. That's why I'm repeating it these many times. There is an acceleration that is acting towards the center all the times, no matter where you're talking about. And it is causing that whole circular motion. That is the most important point. People are still joining the class. Why? Yeah. Now, let me show you an example on the thing also, on the graph that I already show you, right, all the time. Is it the one? Wait a second, let me find the original one. It's loading, wait. I think this is the one, I guess. There is a circular motion. So this is a body which is going in a circular motion. Okay, let me look at this thing in a different perspective. It's not clearly visible there. Yeah, what happened here? Yeah, look at the body. It is going in a circular motion. Let me take out all the vectors. We don't want any other disturbances there. So this is a body which is going in a circular motion. Now, if only we look at the velocity vector, that is a velocity vector, because obviously the body is going in a circular motion. Now, forget about the velocity vector. We will talk about that later, but look at the acceleration vector. It is stopping every time. Oh, I can't really see the acceleration vector here, right? How do I increase the acceleration vector? Yeah, look at the orange one. That is the acceleration vector. No matter which position you're talking about, the acceleration is always towards the center. And it is the most important idea. Arnav says when the direction of velocity changes, the acceleration be perpendicular to the velocity also. Yes, no matter where you're talking about, there is always an acceleration which is pointed towards the center in a circular motion. That is a most important point that we needed to be considered. Okay, now I will come back to this point. I will come back to this point and discuss this idea again in the dynamics of circular motion. But for now, we need to move on from this point. Okay, we need to leave this thing and talk about some of the kinematics. Now, why are we at the kinematics again? We've talked about displacement, we've talked about velocity, we've talked about acceleration, right? These are all basically linear displacement, linear velocity, and linear acceleration. Now, for the first time, you people are introduced to angular quantities. You can call it as angular kinematics. That is kind of stupid to say it, okay? But angular quantities, for the first time, you're introduced to these ideas which are angular. We are talking about angular displacement, we are talking about angular velocity, and we are talking about angular acceleration. So the representations are angular displacement is basically theta, angular velocity is basically omega, and angular acceleration is basically alpha. Now, do you remember how we came up with these formulas? V equals to U plus AT, S equals to UT plus half AT square. Everyone remembers these equations, right? But I hate these equations, as you all know. Do you remember how we actually approached to these equations? Okay, Sharath is laughing. Why are you laughing, Sharath? So how did we actually approach to the came to these equations? We started at a equals to dv by dt. We started integrating it. We've done a lot. I don't remember what I've done there, because the reason is I only follow graphs. the only thing that we have, the biggest weapon that we have when it comes to these equations is graphs. Good news, we can definitely use those graphs again in circular motion also. But we don't really have those many problems. In fact, the problems are simply repeated. We start with A equals to dV by dt, right? So let's start with the same thing. Alpha equals to d omega by dt. Clearly look at these equations. Theta, omega, alpha. Angular displacement. Let me write them so that you can see on the screen. Angular displacement, angular velocity, and angular acceleration. So obviously d omega by dt, the rate of change of angular velocity is nothing but angular acceleration. And if only I started with this equation and derive those equations the way we did that in kinematics, we will definitely arrive at these equations. Initial angular velocity omega, sorry, final angular velocity omega final equals to omega initial plus alpha t. I'm going to give you some time to absorb these equations. There is nothing there. Displacement theta equals to omega t plus half alpha t square. This thing omega final square minus omega initial square equals to 2 alpha theta. Is there any confusion there? Of course, you can write more equations. What is the other equation that we have? I don't remember that. Displacement in the nth second, right? That was the other problem. I don't even remember that problem. I mean, equation. Displacement in the nth second is u plus n minus, I don't remember the formula. A into n minus half. Yeah, u plus a into n minus half. You can simply apply the same formula here and you talk about the angular displacement also. But let me tell you what these things are like. What exactly is angular displacement? What exactly is angular velocity? So you have this thing, an xy axis situation and a particle going in a circular motion. Let us consider this as a starting point. We always consider origin as a starting point in linear mechanics, right? Linear kinematics. In this kinematics, we are actually consider this as a starting point. The particle starts going in a circular motion, like just like we've seen here. Oh, this is actually going in the opposite direction. Why is it going in the opposite direction? Oh, he considered it is going in the opposite direction. Is there a way to turn this way in the other opposite direction? No, I don't think so. All I have is cut the rope. No, I don't want to cut the rope. Let me consider it here only. So the body is going in a circular motion, let us say. Let me draw it with another ink. Body is going in a circular motion. So I consider the radius vector which is covering an angle theta. So instead of saying the body is going like this, we actually say the radius vector is covering an angle theta. So this is called as angular displacement. So whenever a particle is going in a circular motion, instead of saying the particle actually, let us say a particle covered an angle, a distance of 2 pi r. It covered a distance, a total displacement of 2 pi r. But we don't say, yeah, here is the thing, here is an important thing. Let us say a particle started here, it went around a complete circle and came back. What is the displacement of the particle? Or it went around like this, or it went around like this. Let us consider all these three situations. If only I talk about the linear displacement x, here it is 0. The linear displacement is simply 0. Here the linear displacement is x is nothing but displacement is just only this part, right? So I have to write it as 2r. Here the displacement is root 2r. If I have to write the linear displacements. But in this topic, we don't talk about the linear displacements. We in fact talk about the angles covered. It started here, it went around and came back. So it covered an angle of 360 degrees. So here the angular displacement is 180 degrees. Here the angular displacement is 90 degrees. This is what angular displacement is. It is about the angle it covered. It doesn't really matter how far the particle. Let me give you an example. Okay. It doesn't really matter how far the particle is. Okay. They might ask you in a different problem. Let us say a particle started here going around a circular motion. Another particle started here and going around a circular motion. Okay. They both came here. Clearly the outer particle traveled more. If you're talking about linear kinematics, it clearly traveled more distance. But if we're talking about angular quantities, they both cover the same angle. So the angular displacement of both the particles is actually theta. So if only we are dealing with angular quantities, simply deal with this thing. Only we deal with theta, and the angular velocity is represented like that, omega. Omega is basically d theta by dt. The rate at which the angle is changing is nothing but omega, which is d theta by dt. So that is one more quantity, and obviously alpha will be also represented. Remember that thing, right? In linear mechanics, in linear kinematics, we used to write x as like this, like our velocity as like this, our acceleration is like this. But in angular situations, in angular quantities, I'm writing the angular displacement is like this, the angular velocity is like this, the angular acceleration is like this. Okay, we represent the quantities like this, and we can use all the equations that we did in the kinematics and do the same problems. In fact, there are problems like he gives you the initial velocity, initial angular velocity as 2 radian per second. Here everything is in radians. Let me discuss the units also, why not? I don't usually do this, but let me discuss that. Theta, omega and alpha, right? Let's discuss the units. Here the units were meter and meter per second and meter per second square. Here we are going to talk about the quantities as Arnav, you have a doubt? What if we take, Aniket has a very good doubt. That's the whole idea of this class. What if the particle is traveling in an oval path or elliptical path? Now, guys, if the particle is traveling in an elliptical path, even if it is traveling in an elliptical path, the angle covered is the same thing. Now, small detour from the original topic I'm discussing. Let us say I have a particle which went like this. Okay, it traveled from here to here. It traveled all the way from here to here. Even in these cases, the angle covered is theta only. So that is the angular displacement. Remember this idea. Good doubt, Aniket. Even the particle has traveled in an oval path, the angular displacement is this only. But we are not good enough yet to discuss about these elliptical paths. Okay, the circular motion itself is complicated enough. Okay, so we don't talk about elliptical paths right now, because kinematics are, the dynamics of this topic are, which is really difficult compared to circular motion, so we won't talk about it. So let me come back to this thing. I was discussing about units, x for displacement, meter per second and meter per second square in linear kinematics. In angular, the units go like this: radians. You know what radians are. If you don't know what the radians are, get out of the class right now. How can you not know radians at this point? The units are radians per second and radians per second square. So they give problems like a body is having an initial angular velocity as omega initial equals to 2 radians per second, omega final equals to 10 radians per second, maybe, let us just say. And it took time of 5 seconds. What is the angular acceleration? We have formulas like omega final, omega initial, alpha t. You put in all the quantities, you find the values. Okay, it is as simple as this. Now, I'm not going deep into this idea because the dealing of this topic is very easy. I'm sure you understood the idea of the angular displacement, angular velocity, and angular acceleration. These quantities are not linear. We are only talking in terms of angle. Everything that you do, you're talking in terms of angle only. Let me just repeat this point again and again. A lot of people have misconceptions like, let us say a particle started here, it traveled until this point. If we are talking about the angular displacement, we don't even know which path it took. We don't even know from what distance to what distance travel. It's not exactly 90 degrees, Sharath. It might look like 90 degrees, but the angular displacement is only this. So it doesn't really matter whether a particle started here like a good boy, traveled here, or a particle traveled here. The angular displacement of both the particles about this point is theta only. Okay, so that's a misconception a lot of people have. So I want you to clear that point. The angular displacement is always theta, right? So once you're clear about it, most of the questions that are regarding this point are easy only. Like they might ask you problems on these. Where are the equations? Where are the equations? Yeah, on these equations only. You don't really have difficult problems on this part. Okay. Now, once that part is clear, just give me a second. 1 second, please. Yeah. So we introduce ourselves to a very important idea now. We clearly talked about the linear kinematics. We know what a linear velocity is. We know what a a linear velocity, linear displacement, linear acceleration is. We know basically these things: x, v, a, theta, omega, alpha. We've known these things already. But the relation in between these two things, the displacement, linear displacement, and the angular displacement, linear velocity and angular velocity, linear acceleration and angular acceleration, these things are really important. Okay, so we need to find a way, basic common sense, basic mathematics only. Let us say a particle traveled a small displacement, del d theta, delta theta, whatever you want to call it as, a small displacement in a small time dt. Okay, so if I want the angular velocity, what do I write it as? D theta by dt or delta theta by delta t. Anyway, if you're not confused in d theta by dt, I will just go with it. D theta by dt. This is how you write, right? The small angle covered by small time taken. That is how the angular velocity is written as. Now, how do I relate this idea to linear components? Now, what is a linear displacement here? This small thing. You must be aware of the fact that this is nothing but r d theta already. So the linear displacement x is nothing but r d theta. So if I want linear velocity r d theta, basically x by time, x by dt, that's dx, let us call it as dx, okay? Dx equals to r d theta. If I want the velocity here, I would write dx by dt, which gives us this by dt, r d theta by dt. So we are arriving at a relation v equals to r d theta by dt, but d theta by dt is nothing but omega. So v equals to r omega. If you have seen this thing already in your schools, it's a fine, it's a good thing. But this is how I find the relation between a linear kinematic situation. Let us say a particle is having a velocity v like this. That is a linear velocity, and an angular velocity is defined like this. How do I relate this linear velocity and an angular velocity? The best way that I did is this part. If you didn't understand it, I'll just repeat it, okay? With this angular velocity, it covered this much of angle. With this linear velocity, it covered this much of displacement. So I write v equals to dx by dt. Similarly, I write omega equals to d theta by dt. In terms of angular displacement, this is d theta by dt, and in terms of linear displacement, this is dx by dt. How do I relate these two things? The dx that is traveled is nothing but r d theta. You know this thing, right? The length of a sector, which is very small. If this is d theta, the radius is r. This is nothing but r d theta. You should already know this thing. I simply use this idea, put it there. I come with a formula saying v equals to r omega. And similarly, if I use the same thing, and take it further, since v equals to r omega, if I write dv by dt, I have to differentiate this also, d by dt of r omega. Now I'm like, you people asked, what is r? R is radius, Aniket. How dare you ask that? R is radius of a circular motion. How could you not know r? Why are you like this, Aniket? Now, r here is a radius. Let me remind you this thing. This is where the difference comes. Remember this good boy who simply covered this a circular motion, and a bad boy who went there and come back here. Now clearly both of them have covered an angle of theta only. Like I said, when it comes to angle theta, they both cover the same angle theta. But this is where the difference comes. For one person, the radius was clearly maintained constant. For this person, the radius was not maintained constant. So that is why we don't discuss with this guy for now, because if the radius is not constant, things get way more complicated. So we are not going to talk about those things. We are only going to talk about circular motion, of course. In the end, the topic's name is circular motion, right? Since we are dealing with circular motion, the radius is constant. So I'm taking the radius constant. dv by dt is r equals to d omega by dt. Acceleration equals to r alpha. In fact, I've done the same thing here also, but since it is very small, it didn't really matter, but now it matters, right? So I'm clearly showing it to you. So A equals to R alpha. So let me repeat it. X, V, A, omega, sorry, not omega, theta, omega, alpha, all the linear quantities, all the angular quantities, and the relations that we came with is x equals to r d theta. We don't really have to discuss this much. Dx is nothing but r d theta. I hope you understood that. Since this is dx, r d theta, so this length is nothing but r d theta, that is clear. V equals to r omega and a equals to r alpha. When it comes to, as long as we are discussing the circular motion, these formulas are going to save you. Okay, these ideas, I wouldn't call them as formulas, basic logical ideas, the linear velocity, angular velocity, linear acceleration, angular acceleration. There will be problems on this. Okay, like I'll give you one. They simply say a particle is going in a circular motion with a radius 5 meters and an angular velocity. Why should I write angular velocity like that? An angular velocity which is nothing but 2 radians per second. He asks, what is the linear velocity at that moment? What is the linear velocity at that moment? V is nothing but r omega, r is 5, omega is 2, so 10 meter per second. So if you want the linear velocity from the angular velocity, you can find it. Even like, let us say they give you the angular acceleration problem also. They might give you the alpha value also. If they give you the alpha value, even in that case, a equals to r alpha, and you can find the value of r alpha also. I mean, linear acceleration also. So you need to remember this idea until this point. You need to remember whatever we discussed. We introduced ourselves into angular quantities. Once we introduce ourselves to angular quantities, after that, we've learned how to relate the linear quantities to angular quantities, and we made ourselves very clear about this. Now, this is not where we started. We started with an idea saying in every circular motion, the most important idea is every particle should have an acceleration which is towards the center. That is the most must thing. That is the most important thing. Clear? No. Now I'm going to take you into a big mathematics puddle. And guess what? This is the most important thing. And that's why I'm not teaching you. I want you to do it. Okay. I want each and every one of you guys to try this today. Let me properly draw a circle. Can I take a circle from this? Yeah, I can. Wow, I have a circle now. Let me draw it properly. I have an iPad. I didn't think of this. Shame. Yeah. So specific particle going in a circular motion, enough of that. A specific particle going in a circular motion. Now let us say the particle started here only. Particle started here, it traveled up to this point, so we can say it covered an angle theta. Now, this is a very important part. As Aniket asked, sir, if for A and V, why didn't we take RdV and RdA? I did take it. Why do you ask such things, Aniket? Look at that. I did consider dV by dt. I didn't just show it here, okay? I actually did consider them and wrote these things. There is no better way to put this, so that's why I put it this way. But dV by dt and d theta by dt and d omega by dt are there. Alpha is nothing but d omega by dt. Omega is nothing but d theta by dt only. So it is there. It is conveyed there. Where are we? Yeah. So this is a very most important point, guys. So I want you to pay attention. The radius is r. This is theta. So I want the whole thing, the whole circular motion, put it in coordinate geometry, polar coordinates. Let me show this to you. How do I write the coordinates of this point? In the first topic, in the beginning of the basic mathematics, I think I remember, this can be written as r cos theta and this can be written as r sin theta. If any of you people have issues with this thing, please let me know right now only. Red and pink are not too different to differentiate. Red and pink, I didn't write with any pink anywhere. Whatever. So r cos theta and r sin theta. Do you know how to write these things, or should I actually, Sumant? Sumant, speak up.
So we have to write like zero y coordinate. We should take y coordinate as 0, and we need to take the display r cos theta, sir. The
No, no, no.
coordinates of the
You
point on
remember this
x-axis.
part where we write this length as r cos theta and this length as r sin theta?
Yes, sir.
Now, if you remember that bit, this is easy. Now, once you know that part, I can write these coordinates as r cos theta and r sin theta. Now, this is the most important
Yes, sir.
point. Remember, if you're clear about it, Harsha Priya, that's what it is. Writing the coordinates of the about of this point is nothing but r cos theta, r sin theta. If you don't know how to write, let me show that to you also. Okay, this is the radius and this is a theta. This is a triangle, right? So in a triangle, this is nothing but r cos theta and this is nothing but r sin theta, because you know cos theta equals to adjacent side by hypotenuse, sin theta equals to opposite side by hypotenuse. So this is nothing but r cos theta, this is nothing but r sin theta. So if only I write this as x-axis and y-axis, this length is r cos theta, so these coordinates are nothing but r cos theta. This length is r sin theta, so this is nothing but r sin theta. So what do we have here? We have the coordinates of r cos theta and r sin theta. And this is the most important point, pay attention, okay? Once you have the coordinates x comma y equals to r cos theta and r sin theta, I write the position vector of the point. If you remember position vector of the point, r bar equals to xi cap plus yj cap. Guys, if you don't know what the position vectors are, if you don't know these basics, I actually suggest you to go back to basic mathematics class and watch them, okay? Put some attention and watch those classes, otherwise you won't understand these bits. Okay, you will really get bored with this stuff because it's not that entertaining, it's basically mathematics, right? So the position vector goes like x is nothing but r cos theta I cap, y is nothing but r sin theta j cap, r cos theta I cap plus r sin theta j cap. Now once you have the position vector of the particle, let me show that to you like this. This is the position vector. So this position vector is representing this point, which is r cos theta, r sin theta. So the position vector is written as r cos theta I cap plus r sin theta j cap. Is this clear until this point? Now, if only I want to write, I'm completely approaching the topic of circular motion mathematically. That's what we're doing here. Okay. And I want you to do it. Even if you don't get it, guys, you don't have to worry a bit. Okay. This topic that I'm discussing right now, you can completely cover this up and move on with the topic. You will definitely be able to solve a lot of problems in the mains level. But when it comes to advanced, if you don't have this idea, you might face a lot of issues. So I suggest you to do what I'm about to ask you to do. I'll suggest, yeah, this is a physics version of trigonometry, I would say. Sharath says, yes, this is definitely a physics version of trigonometry. Now, I suggest you to do this thing by yourself. So I will tell you what to do, okay? Since you have the position vector, if you, in the beginning of the topic, I clearly told you the velocity vector is nothing but dr bar by dt. If you differentiate the position vector, you must get the velocity vector. So I'm trying to write the velocity vector d by dt of the position vector is r cos theta I cap plus r sin theta j cap. Differentiate, r is constant, so r, I'm taking r completely out. Cos theta's differentiation is minus sin theta into d theta by dt I cap plus sin theta's differentiation is cos theta into d theta by dt j cap. If you don't know how differentiation works, I think you guys are done. Now d theta by dt is common, so I can take it out, r into d theta by dt minus sin theta I cap cos theta j cap. Okay, now this is nothing but omega. So I write this as r omega minus sin theta I cap plus cos theta j cap. Now this might not look like anything to you, but if you clearly observe what is the magnitude of V bar is nothing but r omega, since the magnitude of this part is 1, right? So we just derived, we already know V is equals to R omega, but what we did is we mathematically proved V equals to R omega. Previously we did it in the perspective of physics. Now we simply mathematically derived V equals to the magnitude of V equals to R omega. Now it's not just the derivation of the magnitude. In fact, if you can, I'm not sure if you can actually do that. If only you can tell the direction of this thing, it's actually, let me show that to you. It's actually like this. You know the direction of, let me draw that in a new separate page, okay? It will be clear for you. Since the particle is here, position vector's position is like this, and the magnitude of that thing came as what? R cos theta I cap, R sin theta j cap. I'm not really, I mean, like, I'm not really sure if you can tell that the position is actually like, the direction is like this in the direction of the radius vector itself. But when I found velocity vector, which is nothing but R omega minus sin theta j cap plus cos theta, sorry, I cap plus cos theta j cap, clearly observe this and these are clearly perpendicular to each other. Try to write a dot product of these two, you get 0. So one indication that they are perpendicular to each other, and if only you clearly know this thing, the velocity vector is actually like this. So we mathematically arrived at a point saying V equals to R omega, and the velocity's direction is perpendicular to the position vector. That is what we came up with. Okay, quite an interesting idea. We simply just approach the entire problem mathematically. Now the topic is not over here. The next idea is the thing that I want you to do. Now that I have a velocity vector which is R omega minus minus sine theta, right? Minus sine theta I cap plus cos theta j cap. I want you to differentiate this again, dv bar by dt. I want you to differentiate this thing again, this entire thing. Now be careful, you're not just differentiating this, we are differentiating this also. Only R is the only constant here. So you can only leave this out. You have to differentiate this entire bit. You will get a very big equation, but if I do that for you, you will not listen, you will not remember that part. Okay. Sharath asks, sir, can you explain why minus sine theta plus cos theta? What do you mean minus sine theta plus cos theta? I differentiated this, right? Where is that page? When I differentiated a position vector v equals to dr by dt, I differentiated the whole thing. And when I differentiated cos theta, I get minus sine theta. Sine theta's differentiation is cos theta. That is why I get minus sine theta and cos theta. Okay. And if you write that, I can personally tell that this vector, the position vector and the velocity vector are perpendicular to each other by looking at it. But the way for you to understand is they're clearly perpendicular to each other. Try to write a dot product of these two, you'll get a 0. So I can clearly say they're perpendicular to each other also. Okay. Now the thing that I want you to do, take the velocity vector. It is there in HC Verma. It is clearly done and explained in HC Verma. But without looking at it, I want you people to try differentiating this. You will get a very big equation. And once you are clear, guys, I'm repeating this thing. If you are clear about whatever is there inside this box, your entire circular motion topic is over. You don't even have to prepare a bit anymore. The entire circular motion topic can be simply put inside this box if only you differentiate velocity. Okay, you will get some really good insight out of this thing. Trust me, guys, I'm not doing it. I'm asking you to do it. So please do it. Okay, Sharath, you're asking why the magnitude is 1 only, right? If you want the magnitude, root over sine square theta plus cos square theta 1, the magnitude is 1. I'm talking about the magnitude of these two. Okay. So guys, I'm asking you, I'm repeating it again and again, the entire circular motion topic's essence is in this thing. If you don't know how to do it, it is totally fine. You open HC Verma once and read through that thing. Or best thing to do is actually you do it by yourself. Okay, once you do it by yourself and bring back whatever is there in this box, if only you can differentiate it, half of the topic is actually cleared for you. You will get a really good insight, a really good point out of it. I will discuss it anyway tomorrow, but I want you to do it. And if you have any doubts about it, I want you to ask. Okay. Now, any doubt regarding this class you have, raise your hands. Only regarding this circular motion. Any other doubts, we'll talk about it later. This specific topic, if you have any doubts, raise your hands. Especially regarding his circular motion. Sharath. Sharath, what is it?
Sir, is this related to gyroscopic effect?
Oh, you have no idea. You have no idea. It is related to gyroscopic motion on another level. Okay. If you are really clear about these vectors, the angular quantities and what exactly is happening, you will clearly understand how the gyroscopic effect actually means, how effect actually works. Okay. If you have seen the post in Instagram, the gyroscope toys, how they work, how they actually
Yes, sir.
balance themselves, they actually depend on this idea only, but not right now. That might actually take 1.5 month to go to that point. Okay, there is a lot of discussion when it comes to gyroscopic effect, but this is the basic, this is the foundation of the topic. Okay, this is the foundation, this is a cornerstone, so please don't ignore this part. I want you to do it. Okay, Sharath?
Okay, sir.
Anything else, guys? Sir, will the whole CH be changed on differentiation only? Yes, the differentiation, just differentiate it, but the concept is not easy. The differentiation is big. You have omega, you have two variables here. You have omega and you have theta. There are two variables. The differentiation is not that easy. I want you to do it. It might look a bit complicated, but be brave and try to do it and you will definitely get it. Okay. So that's it for today. From tomorrow it gets easier. Okay, the topic gets really fun, really easy. This is the whole mathematics of it. This is the basic complicated part of the topic, and this is a cornerstone. The more stronger you are on this part, the easier the gets all the rest of the rotational mechanics and all the other topics. All right, guys. So yeah, I guess I can stop with that, and we can discuss other topics in the next classes. All right. So bye bye.